I had a leadership model that I created, personal leadership model I created while I was a district sales leader. And it was called FAITH, which means focus on leaving a legacy of excellence. That's what F is. A is for alignment. Ensure, right, from the top to the bottom that your staff is aligned with their goals, standards, and core values. I is for integrity. Always do the right thing. T is for think of practical solutions. And the H is to have personal accountability.
Wow.
So
those are some quality values right there.
Sound like you got a book to write too.
No, but faith, like you have to have faith.
Yeah.
You have to have courage. It's not easy. And so once again, you got to also maintain that macro level of what it is that we're trying to be able to accomplish. And as you heard early on, it needs to be intentional, right? It's not by accident. We're very much focused on where we're headed, and that's why we've also had a lot of growth at PPL. We went from 3 locations, now we have 6, and soon to be 7th.
Welcome back to Always Level Up the podcast. I'm your host, Carlos Garcia, and it's my co-host,
Tracy Ross Garcia.
And today we have an amazing guest, my brother, Juan Tejeda, a.k.a. JT, CEO of PPL Motorhomes.
That's right.
That's right. So today, JT is going to join us and share his story on how he's leveled up throughout his journey. Just a little background, JT and I went to college together at UTSA, so we have some history there. And back when it was a struggle and we were, just trying to get through, passing our finals and stuff like that.
That's
So
right.
thank you for being on the show, my brothers.
Yeah. Really grateful and honored. So thank you both for having me today. And excited to be able to really spend some time today and share my story.
Awesome, love it. So let's kick it off. Like, so who's JT to those that don't know you?
Yeah, so I'm Juan Tejeda. I'm the CEO at PPL Motorhomes, which is the largest RV consignment dealer in the country.
Nice.
We've been in business for over 53 years. We were founded by Ron Rambin and Ed Sebesta, 2 engineers 53 years ago. And my path to really lead this organization started right at a young age, right? Mm-hmm. So I can reflect on just a journey. I was born and raised here in Texas, in San Antonio. My mom was a school teacher for 35 plus years.
Nice.
I love teachers. Yeah. Shout out to all the teachers.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad worked for a nonprofit organization for about 20 years, and then he became a tenured professor at Palo Alto College. So when I look at my parents, they're my early inspirations in life. And I was able to see a lot of service to others, a lot of hard work, and really a respect for others, right? So they raised me with those, what I would say are values and principles in life. And, really my grandmother lived to be 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And she had her own beauty shop. It was Lily's Beauty Shop on the south side. And she taught me an immense amount of gratitude. She consistently was grateful for the blessing of life every day, right? Mm-hmm. So she would always look to gratitude. And that's one thing I really take away from her as a role model. And she did some amazing things, right? That authentic and genuine love that you feel from your grandmother, I always felt that. But she was a great businesswoman. And I felt like in life, you got to stack a lot of great decisions, and she did that. And so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, right?
It's about making good decisions. The
That's
more
right.
good decisions you make, the better your life will be.
Yeah. No, and it's great. I know I light up when I talk about my grandmother because of how much she really meant to me throughout my life. And, it was a blessing to be able to look at the fact that she would say, every day we wake up, it's a blessing. You have your family. And listen, we live in the United States of America, right? So let's just recognize all the good in life. And so I really feel to this day that's so important. Like you have to continue to look at the progress you're making on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Because idealism and being perfect and achieving all your goals, it's not. Life's a roller coaster.
Oh yeah. It's not
It's
a
a
straight
roller
shot, for sure.
coaster. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. So it's important to be anchored on your progress, and you got to recognize that. An avid reader, there was a book called The Gap and the Gain, and it really spoke to pushing in on your daily progress at the end of the day. And another thing that I love to do is write down my goals for the next day, right?
Oh, nice.
And so I wake up, I feel like I can sprint, right? I have the direction, I have a vision of where I'm going that next day. And more times than not, it is saying yes to the 3 to 5 most important things I need to accomplish for the day. And everything else, right, that's, you know,
you might not get to it.
Can't pull me away.
Yeah.
But I got to make sure I push in on those priorities to make sure that we're making the necessary progress. And so that's important. You know, balance is tough to have, but, you know, those are individuals, right? I can reference my parents, my grandmother, and then also my uncle was the late Congressman Frank Tejeda.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
I had sincere admiration for his service to others. And I felt like his whole life was really dedicated to serving others. And I realized how important that was in life, right? It is extremely important. So I'll try to be concise here, but he joined the Marine Corps at 17 and fought in Vietnam and then remained enlisted in the reserves once he was done with his first 4 years. He ended up going on to graduate from St. Mary's. He got his degree at Cal Berkeley Law. And during that period of Cal Berkeley Law, he was in the reserves and scored one of the highest scores in Marine Corps history in officer candidate school.
Wow.
Right? He had a
Impressive.
99.08.
So is he the Frank Tejeda that the middle school's named after?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's some context. But, you know, learning about his story, and it was, to me, inspiring. You know, he had a vision where he wanted to go, and he believed in education. And I'm a firm believer in education.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
are
part
we.
of
Yeah.
it's part of my journey.
Yeah.
And so I get to share that too. But it
love
was
that.
because of my parents. It was because of him that I was a firm believer, and I went on to get my MBA. But it was, you know, it's not rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
It's a grind for sure.
Well,
Awesome.
There was a few things that really stand out to me. I mean, we actually just did our strategic planning Q4, a little late start, but we got it done earlier this week, and it was all about clarity and focus. It was all about learning how to prioritize those 2 to 3 things each day that are important, and how, you know, if we can use this next 90 days as that sprint where we're really developing that habit of like, cut the distractions, right? First identifying what the distractions are and saying, okay, these things aren't really leading to my goals. I shouldn't be spending time here. Let me focus on these 2 to 3 things that are really going to move the needle.
That's incredible. And you have to do that. And I'm anchored really heavily on that professionally as well. It is, we got to keep the main thing the main thing.
I love that you say that, and because this is a lot of times people struggle with this part of it. Now, most people will write goals for their month or for the year, but man, to have your goals lined up for the next day, to me, that seems like such a more important priority because that gauges the action for that day.
That's right.
Now, if we just look at the month, we can go the first 2 weeks of the month and just waste a lot of time and say, well, I got 2 more weeks left to hit my targets, but really you don't, and that's when you fall behind and things become a little bit far-fetched or out of reach.
That's right.
But the impact that it has when you're constantly keeping those goals in front of you for the present moment, then that's where you start to really move the needle. And then, what was the book called? The Gap and
The Gap and the Gain.
The Gap and
By
the
Dan
Gain.
Sullivan.
Okay, so that's where you got this out of, right?
Well, it's part of it.
Right.
Last year I read over 50 books, right? It's just part of my intellectual goals is to, if I feel like I'm not getting better today, then I'm going backwards, right? So I push in consistently, and I'm reading, and I think that's also done a tremendous amount of good for me in life, and trying to be connected with what's going on in the world. So all those things are important, not only for business, but just for
personal
me
growth.
personally.
Right. And it's consistent with the book, The One Thing, where it talks about you need to be focused on your one thing and everything else is a distraction.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times with that book, you can think about, okay, well, there's just one thing that I need to do today. And I think it's a little bit more than that. There's one thing, but there's a series, a sequence of things that need to be done, but there's a list of priorities, right? And you might have 100 things to do, but I think you said it well. It's like, okay, top 3 to 5 things. If I can get them done, let's knock those things out and let's start with the highest priority. Yeah. So how have you used that, and how were you where did your first level up really begin in your life that that really where you felt like you started to grow?
Yeah. So early on, I can reflect, and I was talking to my dad here recently, and I remember my grandma had a restaurant, and I was about 9 years old, and I remember helping wait tables, right? I remember cutting neighbors' lawns. I remember picking up leaves in the fall. We're talking about the fall right now.
Right.
But at a young age, I understood initiative. If you want something, whether it was going to the convenience store like we were as kids and buying some whatever you wanted, right, some snacks, I had to work for it. So I learned early on that nothing's given in life, right? And I saw my parents work extremely hard for what we had. And, I saw the level of sacrifice. But that concept really, resonated with me early on in life. And then I mentioned this as well as I reflect on, my early days of life, is right when I graduated high school, I began working, 25 plus years ago, right? And I began working at Frito-Lay. And during that period of time, I started making $7 an hour as a merchandiser while I went to school full time. And what I learned is the same level of initiative, right, can really open up doors. So I recall my boss needing to be able to get help at whether it was a store reset or, hey, we need to go to Eagle Pass because we have a lot of work we need to do. He'd pick me up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So early on, I was doing all the extra things, right? And really that shows quite a bit, right? That initiative shows quite a bit. And to me, I found that being reliable, right? Being someone that can be able to, step up and do the intangibles really started to open doors for me. I had a salesperson that I was going to help. And I remember showing up early before he got there, and I knocked out the entire store. Perimeter, gondolas, everything. And he was checking in product, and then I saw him, and he was eating tacos at the cafe at HEB, right on Zarzamora. And I remember walking up, he goes, "The whole store's done." I said, "I know, I did it." Right? And he says, "You can have my job." And he literally told me, he goes, "You can be making so much more." And so that opened the door. And sure enough, within 5 years, I was a district sales leader at a very young age.
Yeah.
And, but once again, during that period of growth, I realized being part of the mentor program, health and wellness committee, and safety committee, all these different things, I wasn't getting paid. It's pro bono. But you're making a difference in the lives of others. And ultimately, a role model such as my uncle, I realized his service, right? He went on to graduate from Harvard with a master's in public administration. Then he got an advanced law degree from Yale.
That's awesome.
And everything that he was doing was leveling up. And so I realized service to others was important. And I became passionate about making a positive difference in the lives of others early on.
Personal initiative is just something that it's so hard to teach, right? And I think about, you're a young adult at this time, I'm assuming, and man, and with our kids, we have 19, 20-year-olds, and this is just something that we consistently, and now that they're doing it, we can see it, but it goes far. It just really goes so far, and just being able to say yes to as many things as you can while you're in a season where you can.
Yeah.
Even adults, right? These days, they're trying to move up in their careers, but they're only doing the bare minimum, or not even the bare minimum. They're only doing what somebody's asking of them to do, right? And they're not looking for these opportunities. And I used to spend a lot of time in the coaching space where people were looking for, okay, what's next for me? Like, you've got to just put yourself out there and be willing to say yes to these things and have like a higher visibility than others, so that people know that you are, like you said, somebody that's reliable, someone that's going to say yes to, a 2 a.m. road trip, before the sun's up, you're already done with your duties. So I can see how that's allowed you to, open up those doors for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that so many people are looking to be compensated for work, right? Just, hey, I'm not going to do more if you're not going to pay me more.
Right.
And they miss opportunities because of that attitude.
Right.
And this is an intangible that most people don't get. I think you have to learn how this works, and it's just like this invisible force that if you do the things, you go the extra mile, and you do more than what you're paid for, eventually you'll get paid more for what you're doing.
Right.
And you'll be worth way more. And so it really comes from an attitude shift.
Yeah.
Now, I think because it was ingrained in you at a young age, it was easy to like see it, right? Because when you're young, you're impressionable, you're listening to your elders, and they're guiding you in the right direction. But the people that don't have that guidance, they usually struggle with it because they're trying to figure this part out.
Right.
And they want to make more money. Most people want to make more money, and they want to, and that's what they're chasing. But to earn more, I think you have to give more.
Sure.
Right. There has to be a higher output, and that output does not always equate to a bigger paycheck initially.
That's right.
Eventually you'll get there because now you're showing your character. Right. Now you're showing your work ethic, your attitude, the things that are going to bring value that people can't see on the surface because it's on a resume. They're going to only see it through your actions.
Right.
And that is what makes people more valuable and become indispensable in their careers.
That's right.
So I think that's huge.
It's powerful, and little did I know, right, just from the beginning of my professional career right after high school, that I'd be working for really a global Fortune 50 company, and that's what Frito-Lay is. It's a subsidiary to PepsiCo, and that's what ended up happening. Is just a lot of hard work, great mentors, and I think what I recall is whenever you're given an opportunity, you make the most of it, and you got to be able to push in. And I recall I was overseeing a district in the west side of San Antonio. I recall waking up, and every Sunday I printed out promotional lists. And this is kind of dating me a little bit, right? But I would put it in each of our salesperson's handheld bag. Because I knew that Monday they were going to hit their biggest accounts, and I wanted them to be able to hit the ground running. But I took time to be able to do things like that, the extra. And I really pushed in on account development. And I will recall being able to look at how much account development I did strategically and effective work with to really help my team thrive. And I was young. Imagine being young. I recall an individual looking at me, and I could be his kid, and I was his boss. But he respected how much value I brought to him. Right. And to me, that was, very fulfilling, right? And there's so much more in life when you're able to do that. And so, that's what else I would be able to share, right? Is no one told me, hey, go work Sundays and go do X, Y, Z. It's really having that initiative, really having that vision. Once again, nothing's given. You got to earn it. How are you going to earn it? And so I was able to go in and do things that would be able to earn that level of respect.
And were you in college while you were doing this?
Yeah. So that's and that's kind of the journey, right? I was in school, and school started.
What high school did you graduate from?
Yeah, so St. Gerard High School.
Okay.
It was on really the southeast side of San Antonio.
Yeah.
My dad went to
Moses went there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my stepdad.
Yeah. So had a great storied past. Coach Pastor Check and others. I mean, it was there's always a lot of good. So fond memories there. But yeah, as I think of the journey, once again getting back to initiative. And really also associating yourself with good people. Pretty sure y'all have heard this before, but
Absolutely.
Tell me who your friends are. I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So for me, I had some really good mentors, and I tapped in on all those individuals. And, doing the things that the meritocracy earned, right? You're able to earn that level of respect, right, from others. And I remember having a mentor. He was a national account manager, and I would always have really what I would call profound conversations with him. And I vividly remembering him telling me, you've done all that you can do, and you've reached a level where you have the critical experience. You're running a multi-million-dollar business. He goes, if you want to be able to go on to regional levels, you're going to need to finish your degree. So he looked at me with conviction and said, if you were my son, you'd be in school right now. Right? And that allowed me to really start my final years of school, which I went to UTSA at that point, and I was admitted into the honors college. But I vividly remember thinking this: if I'm going to walk away from this career that I have, I'm going to make sure that I go and achieve the goals I set for myself. And I specifically remember saying, I want to build my intellectual, leadership, and communication capabilities while I'm at school.
I love that. Very specific.
Yeah. So I said, this is what I want to do. So having a vision, I think, in life is important.
Yeah.
You have to have goals. You got to have that vision as to where you're going. And so being admitted into the honors college was great. Once again, associating myself with great people, right, with aspiration there. But once again, the extras never really went away. I became the president of Toastmasters, which to this day is still a great organization. It allows to really be an effective speaker. And
there's so much alignment there with what you're, what you set out for yourself, for your vision for yourself, right?
That's
You said
right.
Communications, sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. And I didn't know that I was going to be the president of it, but in short order, it happened where the opportunity presents itself. But I was a member of the Business Student Council, right? I was a UTSA ambassador, and then also I represented the entire student body on the Student Health Services Governance Board, which is our connection. That's where I met Carlos. And I remember that. It was phenomenal to be able to do all those things. And, as I reflect on that, we continue to make impact, right? There's a Cancer Awareness Month initiative where Toastmasters ended up taking a first place prize amongst all student organizations. And then we began mentoring Brandeis High School students, right? And I remember a couple of my fellow officers at Toastmasters said, "Hey, let's join this ethics bowl." And I remember specifically it was a graduate and undergraduate ethics bowl in front of really like an auditorium, and it was very much so. I'll tell you the situation, and then give you some time and you have to come back and present yourself in front of everyone. Well, we took first place there. And I remember what it did for, right, some of my peers. Like, they were like, wow, they were blown away, which ultimately allowed us to win the College of Business Philanthropy Award because we were able to make that level of impact. And so those are the things where I can say, right, even as I look back to my career, to my education, like it all ends up paying huge dividends. And ultimately, I received the University Life Award for the College of Business Most Outstanding Undergraduate Student. Nice. Once again, this is something that I didn't, I wasn't a part of. There was no self-nom. I was nominated, and fortunately, I was able to achieve that award.
So I want to ask a question, and this probably might be helpful for the audience. Was there a gap between you graduating high school and then you entering into college? It sounds like. So how long was that?
Yeah,
that
so
because you just started, went straight into your career.
Yeah, so at 22, I was the district sales leader, and for about 2 years, so I was around 24 or so. I graduated high school when I was 17, but I spent a total of 7.5 years at Frito-Lay. So that was my journey there. And then, I was enrolled 1 year, and I graduated the very next year at UTSA. So in short order, I did all those things. Nice. I studied abroad in Italy.
Oh, you said like 25, 26?
Yeah.
That's a lot of experience in that short period of time.
Yeah, it really was. It created a lot of growth. Yeah. I remember even professionally, my first meeting of the day was with my boss. We had a weekly one-with-one, and I was the first one to meet with him. It was 5:30 in the morning, right, where we were meeting, and it was great. And I remember him looking at me and says, "You got your team marching," and we're consistently performing on the top, which elevated me again to take over the Hill Country from the west side of San Antonio to the Hill Country. Right. And I remember my boss telling me, he goes, "I need you to trust me." He goes, "This is going to provide much more critical experience. You're going to be over, H-E-B's, Walmart's, 3 operating facilities. It's a bigger operation with a lot more responsibility." And I thought to myself, I got my team dialed in and all this account development, and I got we're thriving, and now I'm getting called to do something which is more challenging. And so what I can tell you is you also have to push in on the hard. Mm-hmm. So I trusted him. Mm-hmm. I pushed on the hard, and I got even more critical experience, which is invaluable, right? And so that's the one thing that I can tell you. And I tell my team this, right? Every day there's going to be some level of pain. It's going to be the pain of discipline, the pain of regret, right? So you got to choose your pain. You got to choose your hard. And but once again, that's the path where it's all meritocracy driven, where you get to earn that additional responsibility. And I never took it lightly. I always tried to do things with excellence.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing here is there's a lot of principles of success being applied. From one, having a purpose, having your major purpose for your life of service, and just excelling in your career, knowing exactly the skills that you want to acquire, and you may not know exactly what field of business you're going to be in, but like, hey, I'm looking for this opportunity. And then you're applying initiative, which is another thing. It's like taking the initiative, and then you're going the extra mile, right? You're going the extra mile. You're doing more than what you're paid for. Then on top of that, you're budgeting your time well. You're budgeting your time well. And it sounds like you probably have a good attitude along the way. So positive mental attitude. So there's about 5 different principles being applied here, and you're not even in your 30s yet. So that's great to understand it, because I'm one of the things that I focus on is understanding the principles of success from Napoleon Hill, and which were derived from Andrew Carnegie's principles of success. And it's like, man, they're timeless. Like, it doesn't matter. Really, like this, he came up with this philosophy in the early 1900s, and it's like, dude, today it still applies. Mm-hmm. And I think when people start to understand these attitudes and understand these principles and know you can apply them, and then they're going to open up doors for you. Right. Now, again, like you said, there's gonna be some challenges. There's gonna be
Yeah.
some hard things that you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
Whether you're waking up super early, or your back's up against the wall and you have a new endeavor in front of you and things are gonna change.
Sure.
And you go from things are great. It's like, okay, now I'm in this new space where I don't know what it's gonna look like, but let's
Right.
do it. Let's go for it, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're just gonna enhance those skills a little bit more and get you
Yeah.
to that
and,
next level.
and these are skills that are just transferable, right? Like the values that you have instilled, the habits that you've already created yourself. Your boss could have put you in, who knows where in the valley or something, and you probably would have still, gained the same success because the principles that you bring into your space. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So if in terms of we talk about education. I know it's been a important factor for you, right?
Absolutely.
Because there was a transition there. So tell me a little bit more about your mindset on education.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously both my parents have their degrees. And I saw my uncle, who was such a firm believer in education, that, early on, I remember my grandma, she says, "I want to buy your high school graduation ring." I said, "No." I said, "I'm going to wait till I get my college degree," right? Because that's something I really wanted, was undergrad. But seeing him as a role model and him going out to be able to do all that he did was an inspiration where I wanted to get my graduate degree as well. And not ever giving up, because I'll tell you it's hard, right? I worked at an early age because I had to, right? And that's just the reality. I can't go and say, "Hey, Ma, I need $20 for gas," right? No. If I need it, I need to go do that. I'm not going to, I always took on that level of maturity and responsibility that I got to go earn my keep. And I did that. And those opportunities provided, obviously, a lot of growth. And so to be able to sacrifice to finish up school was vitally important for me. It was one of the things that I knew I was going to do no matter the case. Going to graduate school, I was still working full time. I was the general manager of an RV dealership in New Braunfels, significant RV dealership in New Braunfels, when I was going, and I got my MBA from Baylor.
Nice.
So once again, it was not easy, right? At that time, my wife and I, Monica, I remember Ella was born. So had a newborn. I was running a pretty large, one of the largest dealerships, right? And I was going to school. So nothing is really easy about all those components. But
No, absolutely not.
I will tell you, in my mind, I have that level of belief that, what it did for my uncle, what it has done for others, it's going to continue to open up opportunities.
Right.
And I believe that it was part of, even me becoming a CEO today, right? It was very much that journey. And so that's what education can really do for you.
Right. And I think that's important to understand, because there's mixed, especially people in this country, they have mixed opinions about college, higher education. Some people think it's a waste.
Sure.
And I think you can waste anything, you can waste a good education if you're not intentional about it. And I think that, for somebody like yourself, it's proven that you were intentional with going into academics to become a better version of yourself and acquire skills that you needed that were going to help you along your career. And for myself as well, it's like, it just was like, man, this is a part of my life that there's a big gap. If I'm not spending time learning or even creating the habit of learning, then I'm going to miss opportunities to gain more knowledge and insights on skills that I can acquire to make me more valuable. Because what really separates people who are super successful and the ones that are not is how they use their brain, right? And I think if you do college right, you're gonna learn how to exercise that brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you do it right, you'll learn how to exercise that brain, and then that muscle right there. The more you exercise it, and as you learn how to use it, then it becomes a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And then you can utilize that to gain more success, earn a higher income, whatever it may be, but just really create more value for yourself. And it's not about what you think it's about the knowledge that you have that you're able to apply.
Sure.
Right. So, and that was one thing that I learned in our journey when we're going through school. It's like, man, let's get in here. Let's learn new things. Let's get this brain working and create this habit of learning. That way, when school's over, I'm going to continue to pursue education.
Yeah.
Not in the formal sense, but in self-educating, which is where we go out and we read books and we're like, okay, I need to learn. This book has something that I can learn from and apply and help me overcome whatever problem or obstacle that I'm facing in today's world. So I think that's super important for anybody that's out there looking for a better way. Start in the classroom. If work's the hard part, the classroom's another.
Well, think about it. Theoretically, you have professors who are advancing your learning in a subject matter. That's what they're doing. And, if you can recall, I had a mentor that told me, like, the importance. There was, look, make no bones about it, there's glass ceilings out there, right? It's a rhetoric that used to be used quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so there can be a great debate. And I'll tell you, there were some people that joined trade schools that do very well. And I'm happy that people are following their passion, right? And so I think more times than not, right, I can be able to share my story on what it did for me, right? Dr. Anita Leffel and countless other professors became close friends and mentors, right? And they made a big impact and really helped advance me, right? So many different ways. And so understand that that's what you're getting, right? But it's also, it's based off of the outlook of the individual, right? If they want to go and just be nothing but party and they don't value all that.
Exactly.
Well, then that's where it's a waste, right? But, I mean, you can't deny the amount of value that you can get from a college education.
Yeah, and just being in proximity, like you said, these mentors are, speeding you through these things, getting you to a place where, you don't have to make these mistakes. Like, if you can learn from me, ask questions now in a safe space, in a safe environment.
Yeah.
And then, we can experiment here at a college campus and take those skills out with you.
And you mentioned mentors, and I think this is important too. So a lot of times people, they want mentors, but they don't really know how to seek them out. It's like, so what is it that a mentor looks for in somebody when they're willing to mentor you? And I think that's a lot of times we might be like, well, be my mentor, JT. Well, okay. But what would a mentor look for in somebody that they'd be willing to take them on and just kind of, because I don't think it's really like, oh, I'm your mentor, it just kind of happens. Yeah. So like, what kind of attitude do you think it takes to have people wanting to pour into you in that way?
Well, listen, first things first is they have to look at their current job. So I look at individuals that have joined, and I've seen, I've been blessed, and that's probably one of the other blessings is helping grow other people's career and trajectory. And you see not only their growth professionally but personally, but they got to be able to prove that they can handle their responsibilities before they can start serving others. Because once you get leveled up, right, in effect, now you're just consistently giving, okay? And leadership there's a servant leadership, okay? You got to start with servant leadership. That's what I wake up and I give and I give and I give and I give. I pour from my cup until sometimes, right, I got to refill it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's important for them to obviously understand that journey. And so when I've helped grow people and be a mentor for them, I said, wow, I didn't realize all this responsibility. So you can help them on the people side, and you can help them on the business side. And I think that's an important piece. But once again, it's helping them come to a realization, and then they find that professional growth. And at every level, it gets harder and harder and harder. And yeah, it's true. It's, for me as the CEO, if anything comes across my desk, it's typically the hardest problems in the company.
Yeah.
Because if it makes it there, then, right?
All right. We need the pro on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's a hard decision regardless when it gets to me. And so you got to help with complex situations, and you're anchored in principles, right? What's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
You start asking them things. And I also believe the sincerity of truly caring, because we're doing this to really, like, PPL Motorhomes is the avenue for us to be able to provide a tremendous value and service to others, right? That's the reason why we're in business. We've sold RVs to customers in all 50 states and 35 countries around the world.
Nice.
That's pretty profound,
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
That's big.
That's awesome.
And why? Why? Because we help save them thousands of dollars. If I'm looking at a like model and maybe it's a year older, but I can save $8,000 while I drive an hour and a half or 4 hours to save $8,000. Yeah, I'll take a road trip and do that. Well, that's what we find.
It cost you a few $100 to
Yeah,
drive.
that's right. So that's the value, and that's the reason why we're growing as an organization today, is because our customers are telling us. Because we get customers that drive to us from out of state on a daily basis. Wow. And so we got 4 dealerships in Texas, 1 in Florida, and 1 in Oklahoma City.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to just professional growth and leadership, all the experience that leads up to, the next level, it just prepares you to carry that weight, because you talked about the responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. The things that you have to do, the hard things. Right. And, for somebody that's on the outside looking in, they can say, oh, well, that's easy. I can do that. But the mental toll that some of these things can take, can be very, very draining.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the endurance or you don't have the stamina, then, things will crumble.
That's right.
On you, versus the person that, hey, you started off here, 17 years old, you're working, you're grinding, you're going the extra mile, you're applying all these principles, hard stop, going to school, graduating. All right, let's keep going. Let's get back on track and, continue to thrive in your career. Those are all the experiences that prepare you to carry more and more responsibility along the way as you continue to level up. So there's no cheating your way to the top.
No. And here's the reality. What you're talking about is spot on, because people have to realize that, and I referenced it earlier, it's a high level of hard, right? And you've heard from Elon to Steve Jobs to countless others, and they're like, it is so hard to run a business, right? It is like chewing glass and looking in the abyss, right? That was Elon Musk, right? But you've heard from really a lot of them, and the story is, once again, you have to have that bigger why. You have to have courage. You got to have faith, right? And so being anchored on those principles, you have a bigger why than the hard. And then naturally, you already know that the hard's going to be there, right? So you got to run into the fight. You can't run away from the fight, right? And so that's what it requires from you, especially if you're a CEO or a leader. You have to be able to do that. And then ultimately, more times than not, you get to look to other individuals and say, hey, everything can and will be fixed. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And you know what that means for them? It's huge. It's a weight off their shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's what being a leader is really about, right? It's through your actions. And so people don't realize this, but I travel rigorously, right? There's a lot of sacrifice that comes with that, right? So there's always opportunity costs, but ultimately it's rooted in fundamentally doing the right thing, right? There is no substitution of hard work. There is no substitution actually being in the marketplace.
Right.
When I go and tell someone, hey, thank you for all you're doing, it means the world, right? And so Yeah, I'm on 80 flights a year, right?
Get those
in
miles
52
up.
in 52 weeks,
Yeah.
right? So
That's a lot.
it's people don't see the grind, but that's some context
Yeah.
to it. So it requires an immense amount of rigor, work, and tenacity, right, to be able to achieve. But once again, you have the bigger whys, and that's what drives us.
Absolutely. So, what led you to becoming the CEO at PPL? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, yeah. So it's great feedback. Ultimately, it started back when I finished school. I had an opportunity to go, and I had joined Camping World, and I started off running their internet department. And I remember early on, once again, them running contests in the state of Texas, and we're taking first place, and we're doing X, Y, Z. Well, there was a individual that became sick, and I needed to go into the finance office. And I remember going in there, and I was just like, I mean, literally being thrown into the deep end of the pool, right? All you got to do is swim. And so, once again, learning the hard way, was able to provide coverage while that person was out. And sure enough,
And did that come with a pay raise?
no, by the way, right?
All right.
So
There you go.
And I'll never forget. Like I remember, there's just opportunities, and it's really for the betterment of the team that you got to step up. I ended up, growing quite a bit, right? And so, and that's exactly what happened. So as you reflect on my past, I had a lot of growth, and sure enough, while my time was there, I had a lot of growth too. Eventually, I was sales manager, finance director, general manager, regional vice president. So my wife,
that was how you climbed up the rankings.
But once again, you start, and then you got to be able to earn it. And sure enough, I had the privilege at times to be able to. We did some incredible things. We had the number one retail store in the company, number one cash pay service department in the company, and we were considered by many to be one of the top locations by far. And so taking on that, I was able to go and take on a Dallas market, and I had 5 stores. We did account development, once again, a lot of growth of expanding locations and growing them in short order. And we're able to have a lot of growth as well. And then I got a phone call. I was an executive recruiter and said, hey, would you be interested in this opportunity? And went through a process that was, it takes a while. It's almost a half a year process, 4 to 6 months. But out of 100+ candidates, I was selected to become the CEO.
Nice.
At PPL.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did they tell you? What stood out from you amongst the rest of the candidates?
Well, no, they didn't necessarily, but ultimately they had expressed that I was their first option. Nice. And so once again, leap of faith. Right? It requires
another principle.
Yeah.
It requires
applied faith. That's right.
Yeah, and I had a leadership model that I created, personal leadership model I created while I was a district sales leader, so 20+ years ago, and it was called FAITH.
Right.
Which means focus on leaving a legacy of excellence. That's what F is. A is for alignment. Ensure, right, from the top to the bottom that your staff is aligned with their goals, standards, and core values. I is for integrity. Always do the right thing. T is for think of practical solutions. And the H is to have personal accountability.
Wow.
So
those are some quality values right there.
Sounds like you got a book to write too.
No, but faith, like you have to have faith.
Yeah.
You have to have courage. It's not easy, and so once again, you got to also maintain that macro level of what it is that we're trying to be able to accomplish. And as you heard early on, it needs to be intentional. Yeah. Right? It's not by by accident, we're very much focused on where we're headed. And that's why we've also had a lot of growth at PPL. We went from 3 locations, now we have 6, and soon to be 7th.
Is that all under your leadership, the growth of the additional?
From 3 to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's awesome. No drifting allowed. We know where we're going in that direction. That's awesome. And so, what has this role, what has it done for you in your life and for your family?
Yeah, it's a blessing. Mm-hmm. I discussed gratitude, and for us, life is what you make it, but it is an opportunity for me to make an even greater impact. So when I said I was passionate about making a positive difference in the lives of others, I feel like I have a bigger opportunity to do so. Mm-hmm. So for me, I feel somehow, some way I've been guided to be where I am. And as in anything, I'm going to I'm all in, right? Yeah. I'm pushing it with all I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And one thing I have not heard come out of him, what he's been saying is he wasn't chasing any money. He wasn't chasing a higher salary, although those things they're important along the way, but it's the purpose, it's the service, it's the education, it's the people, it's the leadership, like all those things that matter.
Yeah.
That
servant mentality for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates the opportunity and the doors open. And I'm pretty sure, when they threw you in the deep end, and I'm sure you didn't complain about it. Pretty confident you're like, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
Grateful for the opportunity. Let's
for
get
the
it.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Let me show up, lace up and show up.
Yeah.
I love that. So now where you're at in life, how does growth look for you from here moving forward? It kind of seems like you have it all. Things are working for you and they're great. So what does that next level look like for you?
Yeah. I mean, so, you had mentioned some things, and, what I love is, I think of the opportunity, right? So a lot when I came over to PPL had great people and great tenure. And to me, I thought that was great.
Yeah, being able to step into something that already has a...
like people like where they work.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And to me, I think that was super important. Once again, having the differentiation in our niche brand was appealing. And then also Main Street Capital, who is a key shareholder of PPL. They're a large PE firm, but they allow you to be able to run your business. Mm-hmm. Have your thumb on you.
Right.
And they've been amazing partners, right? And strategic partners throughout this process. And, that's what I continue to see. And, ultimately, as you talk about, the journey is obviously short to long term. The Main Street Capital, they have our vision, right? We've set a 5-year strategy. Mm-hmm. So first things first, hey, let's move in on the next couple of locations, right? So we're positioned there, but really, I mentioned it earlier, customers really dictate our growth, and right now we're excited to be able to open multiple locations and continue to grow our brand. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. And what's part of that journey is you really need good people. Mm-hmm. So we're pushing in on things like leadership development programs. We had a leadership development workshop yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And we're able to push in on priorities and time management. But that's important. Mm-hmm. When we talk about mentoring, it's those actionables. You got to make sure you have practicality. Yep. Okay? Talking doesn't get you where you need to be. It's really about action, right? Yeah, so it's applied knowledge. It's not just knowledge that's power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Absolutely. And so for us, it's great. It's great to be rooted with amazing people. And that's important on a move forward basis.
And I think you keep these amazing people by sharing with them what their opportunity is, right? And being able to create and help them, because not everyone can do it. Not everyone has, like you said, they don't grow up with these great mentors around them. but painting the picture of the vision and how they can grow from their position to something greater, what they're doing is contributing to something more and something bigger. And that's really what keeps people engaged, right?
Yeah.
That's why people stay. That's why people want you to look good for your, higher ups, because you're helping them.
Right.
And I think that's so important in leadership. You can see where when you have a good leader is someone that shares that vision for what's next for you.
Yeah, it's important. We've been having discussions with career development action plans for individuals and being able to help them. And that, too, you just mentioned it, career. But you got to talk with them about their career. You really have to push it on actionables to be able to move them forward. And to see us do that, like I have a general manager who has grown leaps and bounds, right? And it's all part of that journey. And I told you, it's a lot of roller coasters, right? There's a lot of ups, a lot of downs. And we start talking about things that are real, that are attributes, and then overcomers overcome, right? So ultimately, you identify what is the root cause, right? And then you work together on establishing an action plan to close the gap to be able to fix the core issue that is creating us from, or preventing us from achieving really the success they deserve,
Right.
that we deserve. And there's, make no bones about it, there's a lot of capital, there's a lot of things that go into opening a business, but people, man, it really is about
core.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, businesses can't thrive without the right people.
That's right.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
To get the right people and then to keep the right people.
That's right. And you'll determine, and they will too, through their actions, whether they are the right people. You'll find it. People can give you lip service. I've had individuals that we've given opportunities to, and then at the end of the day, you learn. And that's what life really is, right? Life is a lot of learning. But at the end of the day, you got to have that grace, that level of gratitude to be able to carry that out. So that's one thing that I'll tell you is through the journey, there is going to be ups and downs, but you have to reflect on the progress you're making daily. If you do that, you'll push more into the gains and not just always be like, well, I didn't reach what I wanted to.
Right.
Okay? Because everyone thinks, it should –
You're just from A to Z.
Right.
Yeah.
How come I'm not there yet? Well, listen, be patient, okay? And so that's another thing. You got to just understand where your feet are and do the very best that you can, and it will come, right? Everyone wants everything now, and it takes time.
I was watching a video of, I think it's Stephen Curry. He was talking about how, he was in high school. He was like 5'2", and his shot used to come from real low because he's just not, and he was going to play varsity, and his dad was like, you're going to get your shot blocked every time if that's how you're going to shoot, right? So he had to go out every single day and just like figure out how to improve his shot day after day. And I think by the end of the summer, he was, he has the best form. He's the best shooter in the NBA, right? And that didn't
All
come
time.
from,
That's
you
right.
know, practicing once or shooting a couple times a
Right.
week. No, it was every single day. How can I get better every single day?
That's a phenomenal testimony, and I got a lot of respect for those people that put in the work, and he works rigorously. And so people have to obviously look at that, right? Because there's no substitution for it. I think he shoots, I don't know how many shots on a daily basis, but quantifiably there is meritocracy for him because he put in the work.
Yeah.
It just wasn't handed
Yeah.
to him. And people need to realize that. I think that's such an important testimony is those that have been successful, they have worked really hard.
Yeah.
I see individuals wake up and they're grinding early and they're saying, and there's books that you'll read and they'll say, well, by noon, that's my first day, and then noon to 6, that's my second day,
Yeah.
right? And that there is a multiplier. And everyone's trying to find different things, but it's true. If you wake up early and you go and own the day, I think that's incredible. One thing that I see from you that is something that I respect a lot is your health is wealth, and you push in on your health, and y'all do that collectively as a team. My grandma would say, your health is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to obviously understand without it, you cannot do everything. So you got to make sure that it's within the realm of priorities.
Right, yeah.
And then you also got to prioritize your family. So there's a lot of different levels to this, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you take care of yourself too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's important, because if you're not taken care of, you can't take care of anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I love that, man. That's thank you for sharing the story. What we typically end with is some words of advice, right? We'll give some words of advice to the younger version of yourself, or anybody out there that's on this path, of looking to find their purpose. What's the best advice you would give someone, or even to younger JT?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and thank you again for this opportunity. I would look to a younger version of myself and tell them that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to, and continue to focus in on gratitude. I think gratitude is probably one of the more profound things for me. And also, as I discuss, have those, that leadership model I shared with y'all earlier is something that, to me, I would share with my younger self. And it has a lot of practicality to it. But, today I shared a lot of the framework that I would tell my younger self. I'd probably tell them a little bit of everything that I said today. Yeah, for sure. But,
recap it all.
yeah. But the gratitude piece, I think, is big. And then, I joined, when I first started college, I joined as a pre-law. I didn't know where I was going. And so you'll find your passion. So I thought I was going to be a lawyer, but my passion was completely different. But at the end of the day, it was more towards business.
Right.
So knowing that, hey, as long as you maintain that level of mindset, I think that's important. Your mindset is a really important thing to have. And then go out and do your very best.
Yeah.
Right on. I love that. Any plugs for your company you want to plug in? Where to find you?
Yeah.
Well, they need an RV, holler at you.
No, that's right. So, thank you for that. And, we're grateful to be able to help really a lot of people, a lot of RVers. And so I mentioned it a bit earlier, but people can find us at pplmotorhomes.com. And you can find quality pre-owned RVs. But we are known to be the largest RV consignment dealer. And so we pride ourselves in helping our customers get the most money they can for their RVs, right? And remove all the hassle, because there's a lot that goes with it, whether it's broken appointments or you name it. So we are able to do that, and we feel that we are a tremendous resource, and we've sold over 53,000 RVs. And so there's some meritocracy there too.
There's a lot of RVs out there.
So we definitely are the best at it, and would love an opportunity to earn their business.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you joining us today and sharing your story, showing everybody how to level up in their life.
Lots of wisdom.
A lot of wisdom, a lot of gems. For all those that are watching, please like and share with somebody that you know that could benefit from, these principles and these values that, lead to success. So thank you for tuning in. Do you have anything?
Nope. See you guys next time.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Peace.